Two men sitting in a coffee shop, a cop, a thief, face to face for the first and only time.
Don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner.
That's Neil McCauley, professional criminal. Robert De Niro at his coldest.
I do what I do best. I take scores. You do what you do best, trying to stop guys like me.
That's Vincent Hanna, obsessive detective, played by Al Pacino at his most intense. This is Heat, Michael Mann's 1995 crime masterpiece. 2.5 hours of Los Angeles burning under neon and gunfire, the greatest bank robbery shootout ever filmed, and a story ripped straight from real life. A Chicago cop who hunted down a criminal named Neil McCauley in 1964, then watched him die in the street. Welcome to old school America. 10 facts that will blow your mind about Heat, the film that proved crime doesn't pay, and neither does catching criminals. Fact 10. The diner scene was never rehearsed. The most iconic scene in Heat, Pacino and De Niro sitting across from each other in that coffee shop, was shot without rehearsal. De Niro suggested it. He told Michael Mann that rehearsing would kill the spontaneity. The unfamiliarity between the characters needed to feel real. Mann agreed. He ran 3 cameras simultaneously to capture every gesture, every shift in weight, every micro-expression. Pacino and De Niro discussed the scene. They talked it through. Then they shot it cold. 1 take, 6.5 minutes. 2 of the greatest actors on the planet feeding off each other's energy with 0 practice. That tension you feel, that's real. Those pauses, improvised. The moment Hanna tells McCauley, maybe we should both go do something else, and McCauley replies, I don't know how to do anything else? That's 2 men recognizing themselves in each other. Mann later said, I tend to not want to rehearse things to the point where I wish I had shot it. He didn't need to worry. The scene became legendary. And, hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, go ahead and hit like and subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us keep making more cool videos like this. Hit the button. Thank you. Okay, back to the video. Fact 9. It's based on a real Chicago cop who killed a real Neil McCauley. Heat isn't fiction. It's based on Chicago police officer Chuck Adamson's obsessive hunt for a criminal named Neil McCauley. The real McCauley was released from Alcatraz in 1962. Immediately started planning new crimes. Adamson tracked him for years, studied him, became obsessed. In 1964, McCauley attempted to rob a grocery store. Adamson and his team were waiting. McCauley was killed in the shootout. Years later, after Adamson retired and moved to Los Angeles, he met Michael Mann, told him the story. Mann asked permission to write a screenplay based on it. Mann wrote the first draft of Heat in 1979. It took him 16 years to get it made. Many of the film's scenes are pulled directly from Adamson's case. The armored car robbery, the obsessive surveillance, even the coffee shop meeting. Adamson once sat down with McCauley in a Chicago diner. 2 enemies having coffee like old friends. The difference? In real life, they never had that final moment of connection. Adamson just shot McCauley in the street and went home. Fact 8. Pacino and De Niro had never shared the screen before. Heat was the first time Al Pacino and Robert De Niro appeared together in the same scene. This was a massive selling point. 2 of the biggest actors in the world. Both starred in The Godfather Part 2, but the split chronology meant they never shared a frame. For 21 years, audiences waited. Heat delivered. The hype was real. The marketing pushed it hard. For the first time on screen together, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. And it worked. Heat became a cultural event, not just because of the story, because 2 legends finally occupied the same space. De Niro got the script first. Art Linson, the producer, gave it to him on vacation. De Niro read it and said, "It's good." Then he gave it to Pacino. Both signed on immediately. Mann knew exactly who he wanted. De Niro as McCauley, Pacino as Hanna. No discussion, no coin flips, just 2 perfect castings. Fact 7. The shootout used live gunfire during training. The bank robbery shootout in Heat is considered one of the greatest action sequences ever filmed. Why? Because Michael Mann didn't fake it. Mann brought in a former British Special Forces member to train the actors. For 3 months, De Niro, Val Kilmer, and Tom Sizemore learned how to handle weapons like professionals. They used live rounds during training, real bullets, real recoil, real danger. During the actual shoot, they used blanks. But the actors knew what real gunfire felt like. Their movements weren't actor movements. They were soldier movements. Mann also recorded the gunfire live on set instead of dubbing it in post-production. Microphones were carefully placed around the location to capture each gunshot at a specific time and place. The result? A shootout that sounds like no other in cinema. Raw, deafening, chaotic. In 2002, the U.S. Marine Corps showed the shootout to recruits at MCRD San Diego as an example of the proper way to retreat while under fire. Hollywood made a training film for the Marines. Accidentally. Fact 6. Mann took the actors to Folsom State Prison. Before filming, Michael Mann took De Niro, Kilmer, and Sizemore to Folsom State Prison. They sat down with real career criminals, talked to them, learned how they think, how they move, how they justify what they do. Danny Trejo, who plays a crew member in Heat, was an actual Folsom inmate in real life. He didn't need the research trip. He lived it. Mann wanted authenticity, not movie criminals, real criminals. Val Kilmer later said the experience changed how he approached the role. These weren't cartoon villains. They were men with families, regrets, and cold calculations about risk versus reward. Fact 5. The entire film was shot on location, no sound stages. Heat was shot over 107 days. Every single day was on location. Not one scene was filmed on a soundstage. This caused problems. Shooting at LAX was nearly derailed by an Unabomber bomb threat. Filming in downtown Los Angeles meant dealing with traffic, noise, and crowds. But Mann insisted he wanted real Los Angeles, not the backlot version. Location manager Janice Polly and scout Lori Bolton found 85 filming locations. Mann requested places that hadn't appeared on film before. They succeeded. Fewer than 10 of the 85 locations had been previously used. The result? Heat doesn't look like a movie. It looks like a documentary shot in hell. Cinematographer Dante Spinotti used natural and practical lighting to capture the grittiness and isolation of Los Angeles. The city becomes a character, vast, empty, cold even under the California sun. Fact 4. Val Kilmer was filming Batman Forever at the same time. In 1995, Val Kilmer had 2 major films release, Heat and Batman Forever. For a brief period, he was filming both simultaneously. One day he'd be Chris Shiherlis, professional thief planning a bank robbery. The next day he'd be Bruce Wayne, billionaire playboy fighting crime. The duality is almost poetic. Batman catches criminals. Shiherlis is a criminal. Kilmer played both sides. Kilmer has a key role in Heat, but Batman Forever was his bigger paycheck. He was the caped crusader. Yet decades later, when people talk about Kilmer's best work, they mention Heat. Chris Shiherlis, the loyal crew member trying to balance crime with family, is one of Kilmer's finest performances. Batman, just another superhero. Crime pays better in legacy than capes. Fact 3. Hannah was originally a cocaine addict. In an early draft of Michael Mann's screenplay, Vincent Hanna was a cocaine addict. That aspect was removed in later drafts. But if you watch Pacino's performance closely, you can still see it. The manic energy, the explosive outbursts, the sleeplessness, the obsession. Pacino plays Hanna like a man running on fumes and stimulants. He never stops moving, never stops talking, never stops hunting. In one scene, Hanna screams at his wife's boyfriend, "You do not get to watch my fucking television set!" That's not rage, that's cocaine rage. Pacino confirmed in interviews that he based his performance on the original cocaine-addicted version of the character. Even though the explicit drug use was cut, the behavior remained. Hanna isn't just obsessed with catching McCauley, he's chemically dependent on the chase. Fact 2. Mann used a pseudonym when NBC butchered the TV version. When Heat aired on NBC, the network demanded cuts. They needed it to fit a 3-hour time slot with commercials. NBC cut nearly 40 minutes from the theatrical version. Entire character arcs, key scenes, the narrative structure. Michael Mann was furious. He told Variety, They cut so much out of the movie that they destroyed the narrative of the film, along with its integrity. So Mann did what directors do when they're screwed. He removed his name. The TV version credits the director as Alan Smithy, the pseudonym used when a director disowns their own work. Mann refused to be associated with the butchered cut. If NBC was going to ruin his film, they'd do it without his name attached. Decades later, the theatrical cut is the only version that matters. Fact 1. The real Waingro was nailed to a wall in Mexico. Kevin Gage plays Waingro, the psychotic loose cannon who destroys McCauley's crew. He kills a guard during the armored car robbery. Later, he murders prostitutes. He's the human embodiment of chaos. Waingro is based on a real Chicago criminal who also went by Waingro. According to Michael Mann, the real Waingro ratted out influential Chicago criminals. Then he disappeared. His body was found in northern Mexico, nailed to the wall of a shed. When Kevin Gage was imprisoned for 2 years in 2003, fellow inmates and prison guards universally addressed him as Waingro. The character followed him into real life. That's the power of heat. It doesn't just tell a story, it becomes reality. Inmates recognize the authenticity. Marines study the tactics. Directors like Christopher Nolan cite it as an influence. Heat isn't a crime film. It's a mirror held up to obsession, isolation, and the cost of living a life you can't walk away from in 30 seconds. Neil McCauley dies on a runway holding Vincent Hanna's hand. 2 men who could have been brothers. 2 men who destroyed each other. The real Neil McCauley died in a Chicago street, alone. No last words, no connection. Michael Mann gave him what life didn't, a final moment of understanding. Heat, 2.5 hours, 2 legends, 1 shootout that changed action cinema forever. A cop and a thief who recognize themselves in each other, a city that swallows everyone, and a story ripped from a real Chicago detective who killed the man he spent years hunting. Michael Mann spent 16 years trying to make this film. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro spent 21 years waiting to share the screen. And the result? A masterpiece. Hit that like button. Subscribe to Old School America for more brutal truths about crime, obsession, and the dark side of the American dream. Drop a comment. Heat or The Dark Knight? Which has the better shootout? The house always wins, unless you're willing to walk away in 30 seconds.